of Uganda, our government has put equipment that senses. They have put efforts to curb this trafficking in these items. That is why now it is very hard for you to pass through Entebbe airport with ivory.
Yes. And ivory has actually been one.
It's very hard for you to pass through Entebbe airport or to use any outlet of the exit point of this country with the African grey parrot, because this is so much on desire. And in Uganda, you find that's one of its destinations where you have so much or so many of these, the African grey parrot. It's highly demanded. So these efforts are what government has put in place to ensure that we preserve, we enable them multiply, that at the end of the day we tap from the benefits of their existence.
Well, just in case you don't know some of the endangered species of animals, especially here in Uganda, we do have the African white-backed vulture, which I think I've only seen like one. And we have the African butter catfish. We also do have the African elephant. We do have the red colobus monkey, and also the rhinoceros. We have even the chimpanzee. You would actually be surprised. We have specific spots where we'd go to see these things, but I mean these animals. But I mean, if there is anywhere that has to do with vegetation and all that, we should ideally be seeing them without having to travel to these specific areas. So I understand where government is coming in to make sure that you know, we leave some of these areas for these animals, because at the end of the day they bring in a lot of income. They bring
and actually at that point, Philo, you'll find that a country like Uganda, most of the tourism we have is God-given.
And I think we're really lucky for that.
We're not like countries like Dubai, where Dubai may not have so much of animals, if there are, to see. But they have developed their infrastructure that someone will go to Dubai. Imagine people leave Uganda to go and enjoy the sand in a desert.
When we have a lot of it right here.
So we're not like maybe countries like China where you're going to see these skyscrapers. You're going to see this. So someone will pay just to enjoy these roller coasters that are so complicated. We survive our tourism, which is our #1 foreign exchange honor to the country, is basically on these animals. And we know how much there's a trickle-down effect, that when a tourist enters Entebbe International Airport, from that time he enters Uganda, where he's going to stay, the food they're going to eat, the transport sector, you find that there's so much that comes from this tourist. But this tourist has come to look at the chimpanzees in wind impenetrable forests. This tourist has come to look at the monkey you've just talked about. These unique animals, that where they come from. I don't think we have tourists who come to look at Kampala. What is good to enjoy here? I mean, what is good to see? What is unique about Kampala city? You know? I don't think tourists come to look at the good buildings we have in Uganda.
No. The beauty is actually outside of Kampala.
What is good at seeing? Because where they are coming from, they are better, magnificent. You know? You've just had the Ginger Bridge. Now it is for Uganda at one site. But a person who is coming from China, these are village crossovers. So what we have and why we should hold on to this is because they earn us money. But even for education purposes, you know, scientists will tell you that most of the medicines we are using they are tried on wild animals first. You know? Recently, I think it was Minister for ICT, that is, Science and Technology, when she said we are going to purchase some genetically modified rats, and she mentioned the price at which we are going to buy these rats. One was like, if we could have these
we shouldn't be purchasing them, we should actually be having
maybe
them.
Let's get the genetics and all the science that they have in them, because we're told there weren't no more rats. Bring them to Uganda. If we can also have multiplication, do this, then who knows, we'll be selling. Just imagine if our experts at Makerere University, the scientists, needed a chimpanzee. If a rat would cost that much, or needed a monkey to try out any vaccine, and it had to be imported into Uganda, how much? So study purposes, breakthroughs in the medical side, all these bring the relevancy of this wildlife, topped with the enormous monies that we earn from tourists who come in here.
Wow, very, very interesting. Now, let's talk about one of the major issues that is actually hindering this wildlife. We talk about poaching. During the lockdown, actually poaching doubled. Now, the main reason that was given by the Uganda Wildlife Authority was mainly because the people who are heavily depending, financially, who are depending on the tourism sector, were not working anymore because this industry was put on hold. And because of COVID, we didn't have any tourists coming in for the meantime. So because of that, people did resort to making sure that they poach these animals and sell them illegally off so that they can get that extra income. But what exactly can government do? What can exactly the stakeholders do to make sure that we really beat down this poaching, we get rid of it? Because if you look at it, it's one of the main issues. Even if we are still trying so hard to fight it, it's still beating us. What do we have to do as Uganda?
First, you'll find that most of the animal parts, because yes, many of the poachers are killing these animals because they want something. Maybe the skins. For some time, we believe in African culture, yes, that some skins are used for certain treatments, for certain, that's why you see all enthronements. Have you ever asked yourself, a king has a lion's skin?
Oh yes, and you're asking, how did he actually have access?
It's not artificial.
Yes.
It's not about synthetic or what. There is a lion that was killed
to give up that skin, yes.
They have leopard skins. That was a leopard that was killed. So, very importantly is, first and foremost, we must strengthen our laws. That people get to appreciate that never shall you hunt down a lion, shall you hunt down a leopard for ritual, for all these cultural purposes, because the laws are very tough. Two, we must close the gaps of moving these body parts, these poached whatever from these animals outside Uganda.
Yes.
Because, for example, you find that ivory, most of the ivory that is gotten from these elephants is not used in Uganda here.
Yes. It's actually exported.
It's exported.
Yes.
So we need to have more equipment that can detect. We need to have more proactiveness in terms of deployment in these reserves.
Yes.
Because poachers only take advantage where the wardens are not there. That is why you won't hear a poacher in protected areas like the zoo. But you will find them in various national parks where they are carrying out this. So if you have tough laws, then if you close the gaps of them leaving the country, locally the market may not be that very appealing.
Yes.
Even if someone came with such, because most of these have to be processed, then they get this expensive jewelry I hear, they get those expensive designs, the coats that the fellows would love to put on and tell you,
it's genuine leather, it's genuine snake skin, it's genuine
leopard, and you're like, yes, okay, I understand. Dollars. Value addition is not carried out here in Uganda.
Yes.
And they usually have those very expensive labels. I won't mention the designer.
Yes.
And so if we close those gaps, I want to believe that greatly then we shall reduce. But also another element, Philo, that sometimes I feel we need to handle very clearly is there is so much that sometimes is illegal in Uganda.
Yes.
That when a Ugandan is found with it, they're held accountable. But then it comes in the country. I'll give a simple example. In Uganda today, if you're found with ame,
yes,
atia, yeah, or anything similar, they'll arrest you.
Yes. You have to give explanations. How did you...
You have a jacket that looks like property of UPDF. You have these gumboots. You have a trouser.
Yes.
Which is illegal. However, when you go to the shops, these are being sold. When you look at second-hand clothes that are coming in, these are being sold. How do they enter Uganda? If you're going to fight poaching, and we know that some of these, like ivory, these skins that are taken, because these animals sometimes are killed and they'll just remove what they want.
Yes.
The rest is left. So let's also put a stop to items that come into the country. And we know that these are the hides, the skins were used as raw materials to have them made and then imported back to Uganda.
Yes.
Because that will then mean that because there is someone who is buying outside the country, making products that are so expensive, bring them back to Uganda, then the chain will continue.
Well, that's really, really sad. Now, since it's a world, recognized day, there are actually apparently very many countries are taking part. We have Switzerland taking part in it, but also current estimates, especially from the International Union for Conservation of Nature, estimates that the number of living black rhinos is at around 2,500 in the entire world. Now, Russia's Amur leopard, found in the far eastern recesses of the country, is also on the verge of extinction, with only about 40 left in the world. Now, unfortunately, the list goes on and on. So this is not really a national problem. You can say it goes on all over. And you see, these animals really have a lot of value, especially the ones that are going extinct. Okay, they have a lot of value, and it really makes us question, why are we even doing this? Why are we making sure that we get rid of them? Is it that people don't really understand the value of this wildlife? Apart from the people who have decided to concentrate, who are very passionate about the wildlife, people who have gone ahead to study, why is it that people are really not interested? The layman, you're not going to tell a local man, or Muntu wants you to tell him, you don't need to get rid of this animal. It actually has value. Is it that people are illiterate? Is it that people are not informed? Is it that people are just not interested in this wildlife?
It's a combination of two factors, and I want to be brief on this. First and foremost, much as government has done a bit of sensitization, there's still more that has to be done. But also, secondly, government must let these people appreciate that this is the reason in terms of monitoring. I want to give you a simple example.
Yes.
Go to these communities, like you said, the ordinary person. They're told, your great parents could go and eat these animals. For you today, if you dare hunt down that animal, you can get life imprisonment, you can get 15 years jail sentence.
Yes.
But their great parents would go and eat for lack of food.
Yes.
Today, they don't. But then these communities see people from Kampala, see the white man come with these binoculars, come with the family, excited. See these smart rangers move around with guns, and they are told that white man has paid a lot of money to come and see that.
See this animal, yes.
The community around is in absolute poverty. Go to most of these game parks. Absolute poverty, the community around there. So they don't see a reason to why they can't eat that animal. They don't see a reason to why they can't occupy part of that land.
Yes.
So government must embark on a serious mission to ensure that these communities, either money collected, I'm liably informed by the Ministry of Wildlife, Tourism and Antiquities, that there is some percentage that has to go back to these communities. Let that be consistent. Let's see reasonable infrastructure put in place. Maybe the community knows there is a free hospital out of this game park that you have. Let's see the infrastructure. Many of these game parks or these tourist places, when you go to them, attractions, infrastructure is still vague. So unless a person appreciates that this is not for the tourist, this is not for the rich Ugandan to come and see, but even us, when these people come, we benefit.
Yes.
We should protect this lion. Because the hospital where my wife gave birth to from free of charge is because of that lion.
Yes.
So they'll appreciate. But as long as it is still that way, so and so what they killed these hippopotamus, where are they? Arrest them. What benefit? They may not, the ordinary man may not see that. It will remain for the fellows who can go and tour, for the scientists who have study purposes, and for the tourist who comes there.
Well, I think that's really, really interesting. Now, Uganda really boasts of a rich and diverse wildlife heritage. We have very many animals, and maybe because we're lucky because of our location. So I think it's just up to every Ugandan to appreciate wildlife, understand it, get into some of these campaigns, inform yourself, educate yourself, because you are a beneficiary. I believe you're a beneficiary in the long term. Some of you may not see it immediately, but it actually happens. So before we get into the conclusion of this, what would be your parting shots, Robert?
One, I want to urge all Ugandans that we can coexist with these animals.
Yes.
We can't coexist because there is so much that we get from their existence. Second, to government. Let's ensure that communities that are near these areas, protective zones, see the benefit of these very animals. And of course, to Ugandans again, that animal you're endangering, your son, your daughter, your grandchildren will have to pay lots of money just to look at it. Those monkeys you're poisoning because maybe they are taking your maize where you decided to go and encroach in that forest where they used to enjoy their life, and you choose to just poison them and they die in numbers. Your child may have a coursework, may have a study something that needs those very animals, and they are now extinct. You have to look for monies to transport them to far destinations. Let's protect them, not only for our own benefit, but for generations to come.
Absolutely. Be part of the solution, don't be part of the problem. Now, just to remind you that this year's theme is safeguarding key species for ecosystem restoration. Now, your energies should be diverted and driven towards that direction. You see anybody who is involving in this, well, make sure that you alert all the authorities, because, you know, it hinders us as a country, but also as an economy. We all need this money, but we also need the wildlife. I mean, it's very beautiful. It's very comforting to know that you can get into all this domestic tourism and you're going out there to see these animals, you're going out there to see this flora and fauna. It's quite amazing. And also, maybe as a Ugandan citizen, take it upon yourself to make sure you go and look at some of these wildlife that we have in the country, appreciate it, and promote domestic tourism. Like Robert was saying, don't rush into going outside to see what's happening outside the Ugandan borders. Appreciate the beauty right here. Start with going to these zoos, and now that I actually hope and pray that we get to have all these education centers, the Uganda Wildlife Education Centers in these different districts, to make sure that the accessibility is there for every Ugandan. Well, we'll be having the GMU Extra coming in right after Ruben, who will also be here just in a few minutes to give us more about the sports arena, what's happening in all these sports, basketball, soccer, to mention but a few. I am Philomena Mastiko. Have a great and wonderful Thursday morning.